September 30th, 2024 represents Canada's 4th annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I'm going to outline the work of one of my clients, the On Canada Project, as well as introduce you to a new tool created by the On Canada Project so that you can make sure that on this National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, you aren't being performative, that you're actually learning and doing better. The first one, which seems obvious, but it's not to many people, is that wearing an orange shirt one day a year does not make you an ally. Allyship needs to be an ongoing, committed effort. You need to be learning about and challenging the colonial systems that are in place, which allowed this to happen and allows things like this to continue to happen to this day. Which brings me to point 2. Colonial violence is not a historic evil, it's a present day one. For a long time, we were taught nothing about any of this history, but it comes out and the truth always comes to light. All levels of government continue to violate the treaty rights, the human rights, and the sovereignty of Indigenous peoples. And I think we like to, for our own comfort, think that, this was something that happened a long, long time ago and it's not still actively happening today. And it's all fixed now because we have this holiday that we've given ourselves, when really that's just, that's not cutting it. But you need to know that as a Canadian, you are a treaty partner with Indigenous peoples. And you need to consistently stand in solidarity and challenge the colonial violence that is still occurring. It's 2024, and you can find out this information. It is no longer hidden away. For a long time, it was attempted to be hidden away and whitewashed, but now we know better, and we have the tools to learn and do better. So there is no excuse. You're not too busy. It's not flying. That means that you're choosing to stay ignorant to the truth because it's more comfortable for you. And as a white person, I know that a lot of white people are like this. To act like this was just something that happened, but we never name who did it, the perpetrators, because it was us. It was white people. We have to own that. It wasn't me personally, but it was probably my ancestors. Probably. It didn't just happen by nobody. So, we are descendants of the people who did it, and we need to reckon with that and face that because that's uncomfortable. And, there's one thing that white people hate. It's having to have uncomfortable feelings. And bringing it full circle, colonial violence, genocide, and occupation is a crime, whether it's happening here in Canada or in Palestine. So you can't just cherry pick the topics that you feel comfortable to talk about. They are all connected, and until we start making those connections in our own heads and realizing that it's one and the same, we're not going to actually make any real progress. So here are some 3 ways that you can support On Canada Project in this work. I'm going to share with you next an initiative that just recently launched. That brings us to 15 minutes to give a fuck. So this is a new initiative just launched last week by the On Canada Project. It's hoping to educate people on various social topics. The first release topic is timely for National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Right away, you're invited to start giving a fuck, and that brings you to this tool. There are many different topics being developed. The live topic right now is on Indigenous justice, and we'll dive into that in a second. But all of these other topics are being developed. If you or your organization are aligned with any of these topics, I will show you in a little bit an opportunity for you to sponsor the development of any of these topics. But for now, we're going to dive into the Indigenous justice topic, which is live. So I encourage you to also check out this tool. This is a very high level of how it works. You'll find subtopics within the Indigenous justice section. So there's many different areas that you can learn about. So we're going to go into the Legacy of Residential Schools subsection, and you're brought to an area where you can choose your own activation. Under Perception Shift, we're going to break down our own biases and hopefully change our perception. And this is my favorite activation, is the one on Courageous Conversations, which tells you how to tackle these difficult conversations that so many of us need to be having with the people in our lives, but often it's difficult. And then there's the other activation, which is to take action. You can find events that are taking place. You can purchase an orange shirt from an Indigenous owned business. And of course, we want to connect with those decision makers. The final activation gives you more resources to continue learning about this topic. Those 4 activations are available for any of the other subtopics. I encourage you to support this effort, and you can sponsor if any of these topics resonate with you or your business and you want to help bring it to life sooner. I think the go-to reaction for a lot of white people when any conversation goes towards this, not so much talking about the injustices that happened with Indigenous people, but more so any sort of accountability, because I didn't do that, and it's very quick to just kind of try to deflect any and all responsibility, and that's just we need to get past that. We really do, because even though we personally didn't do it, by continuing to ignore it, or even worse, deny it, you are upholding those systems and you are putting your endorsement stamp on the actions that happened. And us settlers, us white people, need to start doing the action. We can't be looking at the marginalized communities to be educating us and, we'll pay attention to you for 1 day a year, 1 month a year maybe, but the rest of the time we're just going to do our status quo, because we have to be actively breaking down these things, and we have to actually do the work. We can't put any more burden on the people who've already gone through so much. Like, it's our turn now, and I just hope that you're with me on that.